Hello and good evening, everyone. We are coming to you from John Cate Field at McBride Stadium. Of the 2018 regular season. Tomorrow, the Scouts and the Jazz will get together at Grady's Field for the final game of the 2018 campaign. Meantime, Riley, we got some baseball to be played here. And let's hope that the Scouts come out with a better effort than they did last night, a game in which they fell to Cincinnati by a final of 16-4.
Yeah, nothing was really working for the Scouts last night. Pitching was struggling a lot. Had to go to the position player Luke Boylston. They were getting hit on all over the place. They really couldn't string too many hits together themselves to get anything flowing offensively. It just was probably one of the worst performances we've seen from the Scouts.
We will have the starting lineups and more after we take a quick break. Again, you are listening to a presentation of Xenia Scouts Baseball here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Welcome back to McBride Stadium here in Richmond, Indiana, as we're getting set for another presentation of Xenia Scouts Baseball here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Charlie Danis, Riley Harshman join you from Richmond, Indiana. Let's go ahead and get you tonight's starting lineups. First for Xenia, batting leadoff and playing in right field tonight for the Scouts is Carson Wright. Chandler Chambers, the left fielder, will bat second. Caleb Ear, the third baseman, will bat third. Graham Welch, the center fielder, will bat fourth. The designated hitter Ryan Burleson will bat fifth. Nick Tuttle, the shortstop, will bat sixth. Jarrett Lindsey, the catcher, will bat seventh. Luke Boylston, the first baseman, will bat eighth. And Ben Bills, he'll be playing at second base for the first time this season. He will bat ninth. Meanwhile, for Richmond, the shortstop, Tommy Bell, will lead things off. The left fielder, Nolan Young, will bat second. Steve Bennett, the designated hitter, will bat third. Bill Kroll, the catcher, will bat cleanup. Jackson Blevins, the first baseman, will bat fifth. Damon Maynard, the right fielder, will bat sixth. Jared Wolf, the center fielder, will bat seventh. DeAndre Davis will be at third base. He'll bat eighth. And Riley Bertram, he'll be at second base, and he'll bat ninth for the Richmond Jazz. Manager for Richmond is Ryan Bertram. And continuing as the acting manager for the Scouts is Jason Lester. On the mound tonight for the Jazz is the left-hander Mason Fisher. Fisher is a very tall individual. Stands at about 6'3", 6'4". As we look up his numbers here in 2018, he's making his 8th start of the season. 6'4", 195-pound freshman, by the way, out of Indiana Wesleyan University. 0-3 with a 6.63 earned run average and 39 and a third innings pitched. He has struck out 29 and walked 22. He is coming off of an appearance in which he pitched 4 innings, gave up no runs on 3 hits while striking out 3 and walking 1 batter. That coming back on July the 19th in a game at Hamilton against the Joes. So the first batter that Fisher will see tonight, well, that would be Carson Wright. Wright steps into the left-handed batter's box. The kick and the pitch down low in the dirt for a ball, and we are underway here in Richmond, Indiana, the second to last game of the 2018 season for the Scouts. 1-0 pitch on the way. Down low once again, 2-0 the count. Richmond comes into this game with a record of 14-26, 15 games behind both Southern Ohio and Cincinnati, who come into play tonight tied atop the standings in the Southern Division of the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League as the pitch is in there for a strike, 2-1 the count on Wright. Meanwhile, Xenia, 10-30 on the year, 19 back of the first place Copperheads and Steam. 2-1 pitch. This will be a bouncer up the first base line, and that will be the first out of the inning. As taking it to the back was Jackson Blevins. So 1 gone in the inning. And Chandler Chambers will now come to the plate. Quick look at the Jazz defensively. Tommy Bell is at shortstop tonight. Third baseman DeAndre Davis. Second baseman is Bertram. Blevins at first. Left fielder is Young. Center fielder is Wolf. Maynard in right field. Kroll is doing the catching. And the pitching is being done by Mason Fisher as he delivers a first pitch strike to Chambers. 0-1 the count. Clouds overhead. We are not expecting rain tonight, but hey, you never know. The pitch. That's in there for a strike, and Chambers is quickly in an 0-2 hole. Well, Riley, the Scouts are looking for a couple more wins to end the 2018 season on a high note as the 0-2 is on the way, and that's fouled back.
Yeah, they got that win a couple nights ago against the Steam in some pretty dramatic fashion. They had a very good outing against the Steam that night, but 2 games here against the Jazz, a very beatable opponent. Scouts have had some bad luck against the Jazz, but they would like to at least split this series, just get a win, try to end this summer on a high note, and leave each other with good taste in each other's mouths.
0-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Chambers goes down swinging. 2 gone. Caleb Beater, the third baseman, now come to the plate for Xenia. So we got the game here tonight, and then the season finale tomorrow afternoon at Grays Field. First pitch is scheduled for 4:05 p.m. It'll be Fan Appreciation Day at the ballpark, where we will get to thank a whole heck of a lot of folks that made this season possible on and off the field, as that pitch is down low for a ball. So if you are in the area, if you are looking for something to do on Sunday afternoon, by all means, come by Grady's Field, located on the Athletes in Action Sports Complex. We'd love to have you. We'll have a baseball game. We'll have a concession stand opened, and by all accounts, the weather should be beautiful as well. So please come on by. If you cannot make it, you can always listen to our broadcast here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network, located on youtube.com. 2-0 pitch. This is a check swing, and boy, it was actually headed straight for us. We're located along the first base line tonight in a 2-story building that's approximately, like 10 feet away from the outer fence bordering the ballpark. So we have a very interesting view of the action as the pitch is in there for a strike. 2-2 the count. And that foul ball, that went about 5 feet away from hitting the glass window that's right there in front of us. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. The pitch. Down low, so now Eater will go to a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Caleb Eater, one of those batters that tends to do a very good job of working the count. And we've seen him work a lot of 3-2 counts this year, Riley.
Yeah, he's a great batter. He's a good hitter and a great batter. Sees a lot of pitches, works counts, fouls things off when he can, and just makes it very hard to get him out.
3-2 pitch is a foul ball down the third base line. So the count will remain at 3 balls and 2 strikes on Eater. Graham Welch waiting on deck for Xenia. We'll be talking about Landon Myers coming up in the next half inning as he will make his last start of the season on the mound for the Scouts. From what we understand, the plan tonight is have Myers pitch for as long as he can before giving way to Zach Bacon as his relief pitcher. So hopefully that works out for the Scouts from a pitching standpoint tonight. Here comes the payoff pitch. That is on the inside corner for a called strike three. The Scouts go down 1-2-3 in the top half of the first. Xenia nothing, Jazz coming to bat here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Heading to the bottom half of the first here at McBride Stadium. Xenia nothing. Richmond coming to bat for the first time tonight. And they will face off against the right-hander Landon Myers, native of Mason, Ohio. Comes in here with a record of no wins, 3 losses, an earned run average of 6.83, making only his 3rd start of the season. His 10th overall appearance on the year for Xenia. And in 26 and 30 innings pitched, he has struck out 9, and he has walked 15. As we discussed in the top half of the first inning, the plan is for Myers to pitch as long as he can before giving way to Zach Bacon, who plans on being the relief pitcher tonight for the Scouts. And hopefully that plan will prove to be fruitful in terms of getting a win here tonight for Xenia. Tommy Bell, the shortstop, will lead things off for the Jazz. So glad that we could have you along for the ride for this presentation of Xenia Scouts baseball here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network alongside Riley Harshman. I'm Charlie Davis. The second to last game of the 2018 season after Sunday. All these players on both these teams will go their separate ways as they continue their baseball careers elsewhere. Grounder over to third. Throw to first will be in time. 1 pitch, 1 out as Bell becomes a ground-out victim.
That's a good start for Myers and the Scouts defense. Last night against this team, we saw them boot the ball around quite a bit, and we saw them throw the ball around quite a bit. And right there, 1 pitch, 1 out.
So now Myers will go to work on Nolan Young, the left fielder. Young hitting a robust .429 with 2 homers and 3 knocked in. The pitch is down low for a ball, below the knees. 1-0 the count on Young. And he also has a double on the season. Young must have been a late addition to the Jazz this year because he only has 14 at-bats coming into play tonight. So that pitch is down low by Myers. 2-0 the count now on Young, the left fielder. Lights have already been turned on here at McBride Stadium. A lot of cloud coverage overhead, but we are not expected to have rain tonight. And this is a high fly ball out to center field. Welch going back, and he'll make the catch for the second out. So now the 2-out batter will be the designated hitter, Steve Bennett. Bennett is at .318 this year for the Jazz, 2 homers and 19 knocked in. Looking to keep this inning going for the Jazz. Good crowd on here tonight, here at McBride Stadium. It is Fan Appreciation Night here in Richmond. The pitch. That's on the outside corner for a call strike. Walked around the concourse a little bit before today's game, getting some snacks, and they had all sorts of stands. They had live music, some local acts from around town. Very festive atmosphere here at the ballpark on a Saturday night as that pitch misses for a ball. 1-1 the count on Steve Bennett. Myers with the windup and the pitch. And this will be a grounder. Eater up with it. Throw to first will be in time, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for the Jazz. We head to the top half of the second. Richmond nothing. Xenia likewise. Here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Back on the hill for the Jazz is the left-hander Mason Fisher. It's a 0-0 game between the Scouts and the Jazz here at McBride Stadium. This is only the second time we have come here to Richmond. As Graham Welch, the center fielder for the Scouts, will step into the left-handed batter's box. Fisher looks in for his sign. Here's the pitch. And Welch swings and misses. 0-1 the count. Riley, if I recall, the last time we were here, we were talking about the fact that your dad, a long, long time ago, played baseball at this ballpark.
Yeah, back in 1984, he played a little travel ball out here in Indiana.
Fly ball out to center field. Wolf is under it. He'll make the catch for the first out.
Yeah, my dad gave us a little history lesson about McBride Stadium. Played back here in 1984. His best friend played with him back here in 84. So they used to be a little first base shortstop tandem that played back here over 30 years ago. Very cool to see that and kind of follow my dad around a little bit.
Ryan Bertelsmann, the designated hitter, will now come to the plate for Xenia. The pitch. Inside for a ball. Bertelsmann has been playing in the designated hitter role for the vast majority of the season because of an arm injury he suffered earlier this year. And, well, let's just say Bertelsmann has been able to take advantage of the opportunity, has really nailed down that designated hitter role in the lineup. Bertelsmann listed as an outfielder, but can't really put you to good use as an outfielder if the arm isn't working, as the 0-1 is fouled off, and now Bertelsmann is in an 0-2 hole. The season, Bertelsmann has hit .337, no homers, 13 knocked in, only 3 doubles on the year. And Riley, I'm sure that Bertelsmann would have liked to have seen some more extra base hits this summer, but he showed an ability to spray the ball all over the field as this ball is fouled down the third base line. Count remains at 0-2 strikes.
Yeah, you said it. We would have liked to see a little more power from Bertelsmann. We've actually seen him hit a couple extra base hits this week, but, you know, you said it. He hits it to both sides of the field. He hit it where it's pitched, and, I mean, that's a great hitter right there. You know a good hitter when he can hit outside pitches to the opposite field.
0-2 pitch on the way. Bertelsmann swings, and that'll be a grounder over to second. Throw to first will be in time. And then quickly, 2 are gone here in the top half of the second for the Scouts. Nick Tuttle now the batter. And boy, it seems like every time I announce Nick Tuttle's name to begin a game, he's in a different spot in the lineup. We have seen this guy lead off. We have seen this guy be a number 9 hitter and everywhere in between. But no matter where you put him, Tuttle has been able to put together a very impressive offensive season. The pitch in there for a strike. Tuttle of 5'11", 165-pound freshman at the Masters College. .356 batter, no homers, and 17 knocked in. As the pitch is inside for a ball. Yeah, just to expand upon that extra base nugget that we were talking about with Ryan Bertelsmann, one of the things that the Scouts have struggled with has been the lack of extra base hits. And that pitch is down low for a ball. 1-1 the count now on Tuttle. And I'm not just talking about home runs, Riley. I'm talking about doubles, talking about triples. Those big hits that could really alter an inning.
Yeah, those extra base hits are great for momentum builders. You got a guy that leads off with a double, whole bench gets involved, everyone gets really excited.
Well, this is certainly not going to be an extra base. This is popped way up in the air. The shortstop will make the catch on the edge of the infield. And for the second time to start off tonight, the Scouts go down 1-2-3. We head to the bottom half of the second. Xenia nothing, Richmond nothing, here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We're heading to the bottom half of the second now here at McBride Stadium. Still looking for someone to score. A scoreless game between the hometown Jazz here in Richmond and your Xenia Scouts. Alongside Riley Harshman, I'm Charlie Danis. This is Xenia Scouts Baseball here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Bill Krul, the catcher, will lead things off for the Jazz. The Jazz going with what I like to call the high-vis jersey tops. They look like something that you'd see at a construction zone as Myers rocks and deals, and that'll be a liner down the left field line foul. 0-1 the count for Bill Krul. Richmond wearing those tops to go along with white pants. Meanwhile, the Jazz going with their Columbia-colored jersey tops and gray pants. Quite the color contrast, if you ask me, here at the ballpark. 0-1. And that hits Krul up on the shoulder. There's the first batter that has reached base tonight for Richmond. And now they'll bring Jackson Blevins to the plate. Blevins on the season, 225 batter, 2 homers, and 16 knocked in. Again, a very festive atmosphere here at the ballpark. Fan appreciation night. Plenty of folks in the stands behind home plate. And a lot of kids running around, being kids as that pitch is in their first strike to Blevins. Of course, right outside as Myers delivers, and this will be a high pop-up. Foul territory, out of play off to the left. Actually kind of appropriate, Riley, considering that coming into this ballpark, it seemed like construction was going on everywhere, and I mean everywhere.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It was going on the street that McBride Stadium is located on, the street behind it. It was just going on everywhere. They had an entire street closed.
The pitch is outside for a ball. As we look out towards the ballpark, as a matter of fact, there is a big crane that's standing out there just outside of dead center. The pitch, and this will be a high pop-up on the infield. Making the catch is Ben Bills, and that'll be the first out of the inning. So now Damon Maynard, the right fielder, will come to the plate. Maynard batting from the right side. And on the season, Maynard batting .250. No homers and only 2 RBIs on the year. Myers with the pitch, and that's high inside for a ball. 1-0 the count. Well, there are 2 things that you can always count on in summer. 4th of July, baseball, and lots of road construction. As that pitch is down low for a ball, particularly here in the Midwest. Myers looking in for his side. He'll straighten up now. 2-0. This will be a grounder into right field for a base hit. Motoring his way into third is going to be Kroll. And Kroll will stop right there. So now runners are at the corners following the single by Damon Maynard, the first hit of the night for the Jazz. And that'll now bring Jared Wolf to the plate. Now, the last time that we were here, Jared Wolf made some spectacular plays while playing in right field. Robbed a couple scouts of extra base hits with some great grabs out there in right. Tonight, he is playing in center. Wolf batting from the left side against the right-handed throwing. As the pitch is in there for a strike, the right-handed throwing Landon Myers. 0-1 the count. Jared Wolf. The runner at first is Maynard. The runner at third is Kroll. The Jazz looking to get on the board first from a run standpoint. The pitch. Down low for a ball. 1-1 the count. Jared Wolf, .214 batter. No homers and 3 knocked in. Myers back on the pitching rubber. Peers in for his sign from his catcher, Jarrett Lindsey. Here's the 1-1. That is outside for a ball. 2-1 the count. Now on Jared Wolf. Scouts in field at double play depth. Outfield playing pretty much straight away.
You got to think Myers is going to be focused on the lower part of the zone, try to produce a ground ball, get a double play, and get out of this inning with that runner on third.
Pitch is in there for a strike. Now the count is even. At 2 balls and 2 strikes. Myers looking for a ground ball in this situation to get him out of this jam here in the bottom of the second of a scoreless game. Jazz looking to draw first blood on the scoreboard. 2-2. That is down low, and Myers was thinking about getting a ground ball that time, but Wolf apparently was not tempted enough by that breaking ball. So now we will go full. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Jared Wolf. And a stolen base, by the way, that last play, as Maynard was able to go to second. Here's the 3-2. This is a high pop-up. Bill's going back into shallow right field. He'll make the catch, and the runners will have no choice but to stay put. 2 gone.
And that's exactly what Myers needed, especially after Maynard got to second. That double play was no longer there. So Myers needed a pop-up or a strikeout to keep those runners at bay, and that's exactly what he got. So now he has a chance to still get out of here scoreless.
DeAndre Davis, the third baseman, now standing in for Richmond. 175 batter. No homers and 4 knocked in. Boy, some of the players that the Jazz have put in the bottom of their batting order have not been doing all that well offensively here in 2018. As the pitch is down low for a ball. Quite the far cry, Riley, from all those great hitters that Xenia had to face the last couple nights in Cincinnati.
Yeah, the Steamer had a team batting average of over 300, which is something you just don't normally see. But they had a great offense, and this Jazz lineup is very top-heavy, very top-of-the-order heavy.
1-0 pitch is fouled off to the left. Boy, as you and I were leaving the ballpark, one of the announcers for Cincinnati was saying that was the 6th time this season that Cincinnati has scored at least 16 runs in a game. There are some teams that are lucky to get to 10 once in a season. They have gotten to 16 runs 6 times. That is incredible. Here's a grounder out to short. Tuttle up with it. The throw to first will be in time. And Myers does a nice job of pitching his way out of trouble as the Jazz leave a couple men on base. We head to the top half of the third. It is still scoreless between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We are heading to the top half of the third here at McBride Stadium in Richmond, Indiana. The Jazz and the Scouts are scoreless here on the Senior Scouts Radio Network. Alongside Riley Harshman, I'm Charlie Dance. And Riley, by the way, before we get things really started here in the inning, let's go ahead and introduce tonight's trivia question.
This one's a good one. So, which of the following sluggers hit their first and 500th home run for the same team in the same city? And your options are Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, Jimmy Fox, or Eddie Murray.
That is a good one. That's a very good one. Okay, I'm gonna have to think that one over a little bit. Jared Lindsay coming to the plate for the Scouts, and he'll swing at miss at the first pitch he sees from the left-hander Mason Fisher. Scoreless game between the Jazz and the Scouts so far as that sun continues to set here in Richmond. And here is a fly ball out to left field, and the catch will be made for the first out. Well, give the Scouts credit. They're putting the ball in play, but so far, well, those balls that they've hit have found the gloves of the opposition. So with one gone in the inning, now Luke Boylston will come to the plate. Boylston playing at first base tonight for the Scouts. 6'1", 210-pound junior out of the University of Dallas. As the pitch misses inside for a ball to Boylston. 282 batter, a homer, 10 knocked in. Also 5 doubles on the season for Boylston. The pitch. That swung on and missed. 1-1 count on Luke Boylston. Lights were already turned on here at McBride Stadium to improve some visibility as the field is now completely covered by shadow. As Boylston will swing, and that is a fair ball down the third base line. First hit of the night for the Scouts. Boylston hustling, and he will motor into second with a one-out double.
And Boylston, he's been one of the more consistent power hitters for the Scouts this year, and right there just showing it again, ripping that double down the third base line, getting himself in scoring position, and now the Scouts have a little something rolling here in the third.
6th double of the season for Boylston. And now that'll bring Ben Bills to the plate. We have seen Ben Bills play all over the diamond, it seems like, pitching, third base. I think we've seen him at shortstop. Tonight he's playing second. Here comes the pitch. Bill swings and sends a grounder over to first. That'll move Boylston over to third. It'll be a ground out to first for Ben Bills. 2 gone in the inning. And now Carson Wright will come to the plate for the second time tonight. He grounded out to first his first time up. The reason they went with Bills, by the way, at second base tonight, Jason Lester wanted to take Zach Bacon out of the lineup and just primarily use him as a relief pitcher. For a position player, Riley, that has pitched really for the first time in his career, I think Bacon's done a more than decent job.
Yeah, he throws strikes. He pitches a contact. That's all you can really do when you're not a trained pitcher. You just have to try to throw strikes, and when you throw strikes, outs are going to happen.
Carson Wright swings and misses at the first pitch that he sees from Fisher. 0-1 the count. Fisher now straightens up. Lefty on the mound for the Jazz. Kicks and deals. And this will be a grounder up the first base line. And once again, easy pickings right there for the first baseman. Blevins as he takes it to the bag for the final out of the inning. No runs. 1 hit, and a man left on base for Xenia. We head to the bottom of the third. Still looking for a score between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Bottom half of the third here at McBride Stadium. Still no score between the Scouts and the Jazz as Richmond comes to bat once again. Each team has a hit, but so far, Mason Fisher, the left-hander for Richmond, and Landon Myers, the right-hander for the Scouts. Both those guys have been pretty sharp on the mound. So now, Myers, the Scouts righty, will go back to work against the Jazz batting order. He'll face Riley Bertram for the first time tonight. The pitch, and Bertram swings and promptly sends a grounder over to Tuttle. That'll be in time for the out. Throw was a little high that time, but Boylston was able to keep his foot on the bag. One gone. And Riley, let's go ahead and revisit tonight's trivia question.
Tonight's trivia question was, which of the following sluggers hit their first and 500th home run for the same team in the same city? And your options are Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, Jimmy Fox, and Eddie Murray.
Okay. Now, this is a very tricky question because as great of those careers that those guys had, they didn't play for the same team over the course of their careers. At least some of those guys didn't, as the pitches down low for a ball to Tommy Bell, who grounded out the third his last time up. For instance, Bonds, he started off with the Pittsburgh Pirates and then later went on to greater fame with the San Francisco Giants. So that's not the answer. As the 1-0 is a fly ball hit back into center field. Welch is under it. He'll make the catch for the second out of the frame. Eddie Murray. Murray started off with the Baltimore Orioles, but I believe he hit his 500th home run with the Cleveland Indians. So he can't be the answer. Willie Mays, great player for the Giants. But remember, the Giants, they were once in New York before heading to San Francisco. So by process of elimination, the answer has to be Jimmy Fox.
And you'd be wrong. Eddie Murray actually did hit his 500th home
Really?
run for the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, I outthought myself.
A couple other guys who accomplished this feat were Mel Ott, Ernie Banks, and Ted Williams.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Eddie Murray got his 3,000th hit as a member of the Indians, not his 500th homer. I got the milestones mixed up. 1-0 pitch. That pitch is in there for a call strike. Well, Riley, I give you your due. You truly stumped me. That was a great trivia question. And a very interesting one, too. One ball, one strike. Here's the pitch. This is a high pop-up on the right side, but it'll settle out of play as a couple of children scurrying around like little squirrels go after the baseball. Oh, to be a kid. Nolan Young is the batter now, by the way, for the Jazz. He's working with a 1-ball, 2-strike count. He flew out to center field his last time up. The pitch. This will be a grounder over to short. Tuttle with the throw to first, and it gets by Boylston. And now the runner will move up to second on the play. So Young will get into scoring position. That will go down as a throwing error on Tuttle, as Boylston just wasn't able to corral that ball. A 2-out base runner in scoring position for the Jazz, and that'll bring Steve Bennett to the plate.
Nolan Young exhibiting some wheels going down the first baseline, really put that pressure on Tuttle to make that throw quickly and accurately, and Tuttle got the throw off quickly. He was a little off balance, so he didn't get it there quite accurately, and that's what allowed Nolan Young to get on base and even a second.
Well, with Bennett coming to the plate, ground out to third his last time up. Okay, so we already know the answer to the trivia question. The pitch is down low for a ball, and how about this? Young is able to move up to third on the play, despite the fact that was a pretty decent block right there by Jarrett Lindsey. That's just alert base running there by Young. So here's the bigger question then. Okay, so if Fox wasn't the answer, then who did he hit his first homer with and his 500th homer with? Because that pitch is up high for a ball, because he had a lot of productive years with the Boston Red Sox, and I believe he was also with the Philadelphia A's for some time. We need to get the research department on that. Two-0 pitch on the way, and that's fouled off. 2-1 the count now on Steve Bennett. Let's see here. Fox started off his career with the Philadelphia A's,
where he hit his first home run in his third year.
1927. As Myers delivers the 2-1. That's up high, 3-1 the count. So he would have hit his 500th home run sometime with the Boston Red Sox. Okay, well, there you go. That was a very, very good trivia question. 3-1 pitch on the outside corner for a call strike. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bennett, the batter, taking his lead off of third is Young, and now this pitch. Wow. That was able to go through one of the openings on the light fixtures over there en route to becoming a foul ball. I'm surprised that didn't hit one of the lights. Count remains at 3 balls and 2 strikes on Steve Bennett. Bill Kroll waiting on deck for the Jazz. Myers with the payoff. That is swung on and missed, and Myers is able to get out of another jam once again by striking out Bennett to end the inning. No runs, no hits, and a man left on base for Richmond. We have 3 in the books here at McBride Stadium, and still no score between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We now head to the top half of the fourth here at McBride Stadium. 0-0 between the Scouts and the Jazz. Mason Fisher back on the mound. Alongside Riley Harshman, I'm Charlie Danis, and we are also joined by our resident Scouts writer, that being Mr. Luke Seaver. Luke, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Glad to have you aboard for this particular broadcast. Now, folks, we have been previewing this for the last couple of nights, and it has finally come to fruition. During this broadcast, we will give you our thoughts about how the rest of the Major League Baseball season will progress. We'll give you division winners, who wins the pennants in the American League and the National League, and ultimately our World Series picks. As Chandler Chambers swings and misses at that pitch, he struck out swinging. Okay, well, before we get into all of that, we still have a trade deadline that is rapidly approaching on the 31st. As Chambers fouls that one off to the left, he is in an 0-2 hole. Riley, let me start with you. What is the one thing you're looking forward to when it comes to the trade deadline coming up, I believe, on Tuesday?
Well, we've seen a lot of things happen with Machado. We've seen Moustakas got moved to the Brewers. We've seen a lot of contenders really already do as much as they really can. I'm still looking to see if the Astros are going to do anything. I don't think they are, because I think they're very solid right now. But
Chambers fouls that one behind.
It would be interesting to see if they try to add possibly another piece for their bullpen.
0-2 pitch on the inside corner for a called strike 3 as Chambers goes down on strikes for the second time tonight. 1 gone. Luke, what are you looking forward to when it comes to this year's trade deadline?
You know, Charlie, I think we discussed this when we were in Canada, actually. I would love to see the Colorado Rockies try to add another arm. You know, they're a team that's pretty slept on, I would say, this year. Not many people are considering them.
As Eater gets hit by a pitch right up there on the shoulder by
what it takes. I think they're going to be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to catch the Dodgers, but I think that we'll be talking about them in a few minutes because I have them in my my playoff bracket. So
don't worry, we'll get to that. I'll tell you one team that I'm really looking forward to seeing whether or not when it comes to making big moves at the deadlines. That pitch is taken in the dirt for a ball by Graham Welch. What are the Milwaukee Brewers going to do? Milwaukee is a small market ball club. They have a window. They've had a very good year up to this year. Only the Cubs have been better than them in the NL Central. What types of moves will the Brewers make in order to try to catch the Cubs in the NL Central to become a real threat by the time October comes along, because I believe that Milwaukee could be one ball club that could really make some noise in the postseason. Bullpen's very good. They can certainly hit. Jesus Aguilar might be a dark horse candidate for MVP the way he's been slugging it this year for the Brewers. But what will they do to address starting pitching? That's going to be a major question mark for me as we get to the deadline, as the 1-1 pitch is up high for Graham Welch. Okay, fellas, let's go ahead and start with who you think are going to win each division in the National League and the American League, as Fisher will set on the mound here. And he'll throw back to first. Riley, let's start with you.
Who's going to win the National League?
The divisions.
The divisions?
Go division by division for me.
So I'll start with the NL East, and I'm going to go with the Braves. They're only 2.5 games back of the Phillies right now, and they have a really high-powered offense. Their starting pitching could do a little better, so, we'd also like to see the Braves possibly make a move for a starting pitcher, possibly Chris Archer.
2-1 pitch, down low for a ball, 3-1 the count on Welch.
So I would like to see the Braves do something at the deadline, but I really like their offense with Freddie Freeman, Acuna, Albies. The young guys really been powering it up, and then, Freeman, the veteran, is also doing a very good job, and Markakis is having a very good year as well.
3-1 pitch on the way to Welch, and this will be a grounder out to third. Throw to first will be in time as Eder is able to advance to second on the play. 2 gone in the inning. What about the NL Central?
The Central, I'm going to stick with the Cubs. The Cubs, they are only a game ahead of the Brewers, but they are the Cubs. They added Dan Herron to Cole Hamels, yes, to their rotation. Wrong lefty. Added him to their rotation. They still have Lester. They still have Kyle Hendricks, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo. I mean, this is a team that won the World Series 2 years ago. It's still that same core, so I would expect to see them finish out the Central.
Ryan Bertelsmann will now come to the plate. That pitch is down low for a ball. And finally, the NL West. Riley, I think I kind of already have an idea where you're going with this because of your allegiance to the Dodgers, but humor me for just a moment. What will it take for the Dodgers or the Rockies to catch up to your Dodgers in the NL West?
I definitely am taking the Dodgers in the West. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies are right on their tail as well, only 2 games and 1.5 games back. It's going to be very interesting to see that division play out. But I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I think they got the best lineup. They have the best pitching. They have good bullpen. They still might add to bolster that bullpen, but right now their offense is really clicking, and adding Machado to that is only going to exponentially make that better.
1-0 pitch, grounded out to third, and Bertelsmann becomes a ground-out victim, thus ending the inning for the Scouts. We will get Luke's thoughts on the National League and also what the American League might look like as we rapidly approach playoff time in a couple of months. In the meantime, we head to the bottom half of the fourth here at McBride Stadium. We still got no score between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network.
I'm not too sure my mic's working. I can't hear myself.
As we head to the bottom half of the fourth here at McBride Stadium, let's go ahead and get you updated with some scores around the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. Southern Ohio and Cincinnati, they are tied atop the Southern Division standings in the GLSCL. Southern Ohio is playing host to Licking County. The Copperheads leading the Settlers in that one 4-3. They're in the bottom half of the seventh already in Athens, Ohio. Meanwhile, top half of the third in Cincy, and the Hamilton Joes are leading the steam in that one 3-0. As Myers will now go back to work against Bill Kroll. That pitch is inside for a ball. So we'll keep you updated with both those games in particular. And by the way, Southern Ohio and Licking County scheduled to play a doubleheader tonight. So keep that in mind. 1-0 pitch. That is fouled off to the left by Kroll. Other scores around the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. Galleon and Lake Erie tied at 1 as the Graders are trying to keep their hopes alive for that third and final playoff spot in the Southern Division. Muskegon playing host to Irish Hills. The Clippers leading the Leprechauns in that one 2-0 as they bat in the top half of the third. And finally, Lima, who is still trying to win the Northern Division, as that pitch is outside for a ball. They are leading Grand Lake by a score of 3-1. And apparently, according to my scoreboard, St. Clair is not playing tonight. I don't know if that is a glitch on the website or what, but apparently St. Clair, the Green Giants, do not have a game to play tonight. And now that will be a strikeout. As Kroll goes down, 1 gone. So now coming to the plate will be Jackson Blemmons, the first baseman. Pop out to second. All right, Luke, so Riley gave his predictions when it came to the National League. What say you as Myers goes to work here and delivers a ball that's fouled off to the right?
Yeah, unfortunately, Riley and I did not agree on very much. I mean, I tend to favor the underdogs. It's just something that I've always done. It's not always right, but I love to watch underdog teams, and so I typically pick them. Just it gives you something to root for more than a team that's just always dominating.
Okay, well, make your picks already.
Yeah. In the NL East, I went with the Phillies. I think
1-1 pitch, grounded to second. Throw to first will be in time. 2 gone.
The Braves are a great team, but I don't think enough people are talking about the Philadelphia Phillies this year. They have potential Cy Young candidate in Aaron Nola. They have a pretty good offense with Rhys Hoskins and other guys, young talent. In the NL Central, I'm going to go with the Brewers. I think the Brewers can chase down the Cubbies and take them over if they make. I think they'll make another move before the trade deadline, and I think they'll win the NL Central over the Cubs. I have the Cubs as a wild card team.
Damon Maynard now staying in for Richmond, working with an 0-1 count against Collins, the Xenia right-hander. The wind and the pitch. That is down low for a ball. And how about the NL West, Luke?
The NL West, I can't even go with an underdog there. The Dodgers are going to win the NL West and much more, but we'll talk about that later.
All right. So you have Luke's picks in the National League. Coming up in the next inning, we will talk a little bit about the American League, as this is a high fly ball out to right center, right back to make the catch. And another 1-2-3 inning for the right-hander, Landon Myers, as he has gotten off to a nice start here pitching-wise for the Scouts. No runs, no hits, no men left on base for the Jazz. 4 innings in the books here at McBride Stadium. Still nothing between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Top half of the fifth here in Richmond, Indiana, where the hometown Jazz are scoreless with the Xenia Scouts. Charlie Danis, Riley Harshman, and resident Scouts writer Luke Sievert joining me as we continue to not only call this grand baseball game between the Jazz and the Scouts, but also talk about how the rest of the MLB season will shake out here in 2018. Riley and Luke have already given their divisional picks for the National League. And now we head over to the junior circuit, the American League, that has that has been very top-heavy this year, to say the least, as a pitch is taken for a strike by Nick Tuttle. He popped out to short his last time up. All right, Riley, let's go ahead and start with the AL East. You got the Red Sox or the Yankees in that one?
I'm going to have to take the Red Sox. Aaron Judge going down is one part of that, and also the Red Sox, their offense has just been very, very hard to stop this year.
High fly ball out into center field. And making the catch will be Wolf for the first out of the frame.
So, yeah, Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez, you just keep thinking that they're going to hit a little bit of a slump at some point this season, but they're not. They just keep hammering the ball, so I'm going to have to take the Red Sox in the East. And to go to the Central, you got to go with the Indians because the Central's just not very good. Other than Cleveland, every other team's below 500 other than the Indians, and they have Corey Kluber, their Cy Young candidate, who's just having another stellar season. I got to go with the Indians in the Central.
And then the AL West, obviously, the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I got to take the Astros in the West. And the West is very good this year with the Mariners and Oakland and the Oakland A's having very good years. They'll probably be fighting for a wild card with the Yankees.
Lindsey swings and misses at that pitch. He flew out to left field his last time up, as Jarrett now is working with a 1-1 count. Luke, is that where you're about at when it comes to the potential divisional winners in the American League?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's almost a given. Like you said, it's very top heavy. You really have 4 teams that just stand out above the rest. It'll be interesting to see that wild card, the race between the Mariners and the Oakland Athletics, who a lot of people have been sleeping on this year. But, I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, Astros, Indians, best 4 teams in that American League by far. And I think those will be what Riley said will hold true.
1 ball, 2 strikes now on Jarrett Lindsey. The pitch, and that is inside for a ball. Really, the only fascinating race from a standing standpoint taking place in the American League is for that second and final wild card spot. Seattle had a firm grip on that as Lindsey checks his swing. They'll appeal down the first, and he was able to check his swing in time, so he'll stay alive. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Entering play tonight, the Mariners only have a 1-game lead over Oakland for that second and final wild card spot in the American League. As the 3-2 pitch misses, and Lindsey earns himself a 1-out walk. So with that being said, gentlemen, what will it take for Oakland to overtake Seattle, who to this point has had a really, really good year? Remember, the Mariners, they are trying to snap not only the longest playoff drought in Major League Baseball, but the longest playoff drought in North American professional sports.
Yeah, the Oakland A's, they're going to have to just keep doing what they're doing. They've been on a tear in the past month or so. Chris Davis has been hitting home runs almost every night, so they're just going to have to continue to do what they're doing. They get quality starts out of their pitchers.
Boylston grounds back to the pitcher. 1-6-3 double play. We will continue this conversation coming up in the next half inning. In the meantime, the Scouts, no runs, no hits, and ultimately no one left on base. We head to the bottom half of the 5th. Still looking for a score between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Back here at McBride Stadium, bottom half of the 5th. It's been a pitcher's duel to this point between the Scouts and the Jazz. In fact, we still have no scores between these 2 teams from the Southern Division of the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. Charlie Danis, Riley Harshman, Luke Seaver joining you tonight from McBride Stadium as we continue the discussion when it comes to Major League Baseball, how the rest of the season will play out. And we left you hanging there a little bit with the discussion regarding the wild card picture in the American League. It's basically down to three teams. The Yankees would currently host the wild card game, followed by Seattle, who is closely followed by the Oakland A's. The A's have been on a tear as of late, and they only trail the Mariners by one game for that second and final wild card spot as Jared Wolf now digs in. And Myers will pitch, and that pitch is up high for a ball. Okay, so Luke, Riley had his say about the A's and the Mariners. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about the Mariners and the A's because these are two very competitive teams in the AL West that will probably not be able to catch the Astros, as that will be a one-hopper over to Boylston for a ground out to first, one gone.
I filled out a bracket while I was preparing for this, and I actually had the Oakland A's getting in the playoffs and that second wild card spot. I think they're serious this year. I think they have what it takes. I don't want to be a Mariners hater or anything like that, but I can see the exciting Oakland A's lineup just making a big push there towards the end of the season and taking that over.
That pitch is inside for a ball to DeAndre Davis. You think that the tipping point is that Oakland just has a little bit more thump in their batting order, therefore that might be able to push them across the finish line just ahead of the Mariners?
I do, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, Riley touched on Chris Davis. He's been stellar this year, especially as of late, and I think he's going to carry that team on his back, and they're going to sneak in the second wild card spot.
And, one thing I think we have to mention about the Mariners is Robinson Cano at some point will return this season. He had that 80-game suspension at the beginning of the year. So you also got to think, what type of team are they going to be when they get their all-star second baseman back?
I'll tell you what, the reason why the Mariners have had so much success this year in 2018, it's been that bullpen, and mainly their closer, Edwin Diaz, who has been lights out in that closer's role in Seattle. That might prove to be the tipping point in 2018. And I mentioned this in the last half inning. And I still can't believe when I hear this, as Davis is now working with a 3-ball, 1-strike count against the right-hander Landon Myers. Myers will kick and deal, and this will be a grounder out to third. Up with the Zeter, and the throw on to first will be in time. 2 gone in the inning. The Mariners are currently going through the longest playoff drought of any team in North American professional sports. Last season, the Buffalo Bills made the NFL playoffs for the first time since 1999. The Mariners, meanwhile, they haven't made the Major League Baseball playoffs since 2001. Wrap your mind around that for just a moment. I mean, that's almost an entire generation of Mariners fans that haven't seen their team make it to the postseason in any capacity, as that pitch is down low for a ball. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch as the summer progresses and as we get closer to October baseball. So 2 gone in the inning. Myers now working against Riley Bertram. Coming up in the next inning, we will tell you how the playoffs will unfold. We obviously went over the division winners, but who will win the wild card game? Who will win the divisional series? Who will win the pennants? And who will finally be the World Series champions? I'm very interested in hearing what Riley and Luke have to say about that. Meanwhile, the 2-0 pitch is lined into left field for a base knock. Riley Bertram with a single over there in left field. That is only the 4th hit of the night for Richmond. Or was it the 3rd? Looks like it was the 3rd. So, Bertram turns the lineup over for the Jazz as Tommy Bell will come to the plate. So, Bell, the shortstop, with the pitch. That's fouled off. You guys have been giving your predictions. I'll quickly rattle off mine. I think that me and the AL East, the Red Sox, with Aaron Judge going down, that's a huge blow to the Yankees. And with the way the Red Sox have been winning lately with that offense and that improved pitching of theirs, I got them winning the AL East as that pitch or that throw goes over to first, runner back in plenty of time. The AL Central, you can pretty much gift wrap that to the Cleveland Indians the way the rest of the division has played this year. The Astros, they're the defending World Series champions for a reason. They will win that division. I got the Mariners over the A's slightly. That is going to be fascinating to watch in August and September, what types of moves both those teams make. but I got the Mariners slightly over the A's because I really trust their bullpen heading down the stretch. As the 1-1 pitch is up high for a ball, runner going, and the throw is in time as Lindsey is able to throw out Bertram for the final out of the inning. And meanwhile, in the National League, Phillies in the NL East, Cubs in the NL Central, Dodgers in the NL West. Those are my divisional picks. So the Jazz are finally retired here in the bottom half of the fifth. Let's head to the top half of the sixth. Still looking for a score, people. 0-0 between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We're heading out of the top half of the sixth. Can anyone, score a run in this game? Still a scoreless game here at McBride Stadium between the Jazz and the Scouts. Charlie Danis, Riley Harshman, Luke Seaver joining you tonight from Richmond, Indiana. All right, fellas, we have given our divisional picks for Major League Baseball. Now on to the playoffs as Ben Bills will step into the batter's box for the Scouts. He grounded out to first his last time up. Still out there on the mound for the Jazz is the left-hander Mason Fisher. The pitch is down low for a ball. Okay, Riley, let's start with you. Who do you got winning the wild card games in each league?
So the wild card, my wild card, I'm taking. It's going to be the Yankees and the A's.
As the pitch is outside for a ball, or actually in there for a strike, 1-1 the count on Ben Bills.
And with the Yankees and the A's, that game's probably going to be in New York, and one of the hardest places to win in the playoffs is in New York against the Yankees. So I got to take the Yankees in that game.
A foul ball off to the left, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Okay, what about the National League?
In the National League, since I got the Braves winning the NL East, I'm going to have the Phillies as a wild card team facing the Brewers.
1-2 pitch, up high, and they'll peel down to first. He did not swing. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I'm going to take the Phillies in that one just because I think the Phillies have better starting pitching. They're going to put a very good starter on the mound for that wild card game. I think that starter is going to get the dub and ultimately be the difference in that wild card game.
2-2 pitch is fouled off. So the count remained 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ben Bills. Okay, Luke, on to you. Wild card game predictions.
I had the same matchup as Riley in the American League. I agree with what he said. The Yankees are going to host that game. It's way too hard to win in Yankee Stadium, especially in one game.
2-2 pitch on the inside corner for a called strike 3 as Bills goes down looking. 1 gone.
Yeah, one game, winner take all type of game like that in Yankee Stadium. I just don't see the Athletics having any chance in that one, so I have the Yankees winning that. In the National League, I have the Rockies playing the Cubs, and I actually have the Rockies winning that game. I think that the Rockies are a very good team. Nolan Arenado is one of the best players in the game, also one of the most slept-on players in the game. I have the Rockies winning that one.
Pitch down low for a ball to Carson Wright. As the left-hander Fisher goes to work once again, Wright with a grounder back to Fisher. He'll throw on to first, and that will be in time for the second out. Real quick, fellas, what do you see happening in the divisional round of the playoffs? Riley, let's start with you.
So divisional round in the AL, that'll probably be Houston versus Cleveland. I got to take the defending World Series champs. Their starting rotation is probably the best in baseball, and they're really going to stun those Indian bats. And then Boston will probably be playing New York, and that's that old-fashioned rivalry. Anything can really happen, but I gotta go with the Red Sox.
And this will be a snag by the shortstop, a throw to first, but it's dropped by the first baseman, Blevins. And boy, that's a shame because Tommy Bell turned in a sensational play right there, sliding to his left, snagging the ball, but Blevins was not able to complete the play. That's going to be an error on the first baseman as Chambers is able to reach safely.
Yeah, that was a great play over there by Tommy Bell, shading to his left, like you said, sliding and spinning it all around to get that throw off. If Blevins makes that catch, that's a web gem. That's a great play.
Caleb Eater now at the plate for Xenia. The pitch, and it's fouled off to the left. So you have Houston over Cleveland. And then what about the Yankees and the Red Sox in the playoffs?
I got Boston over the Yankees. I think their starting rotation is better than the Yankees. Both those teams are very high-powered offenses, but with Stanton and Judge being the two anchors of that team, they strike out a lot, and I think the Red Sox are going to end up going over the Yankees.
Eater swings and misses at that one. We'll get Luke's picks coming up in the next half inning when it comes to the divisional round. Meanwhile, no balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out here for the Scouts in the top half of the 6th with a runner at first. Fisher, the lefty, delivers. That's up high for a ball. As we mentioned, we're working our way through the MLB playoffs, our predictions, how the season will end up. American League has been very top-heavy with a bunch of really good teams. National League a little more wide open than their counterparts in the junior circuit as that pitch is down low, and Chambers steals a bag here. So now, Riley, an RBI opportunity here for Eater.
And Eater's done a very good job in these situations. He doesn't have too many RBIs, but he's a gamer, as I said. He really loves the competition. 2 strikes, he's a very dangerous hitter. Look for him to try to get something into a gap here, try to get Chambers in.
Here comes the 2-2. And this is popped up, out of play. So we'll do it again. 2's across the scoreboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Runner at second. Top half of the 6th of a scoreless game between the Jazz and the Scouts. It has been a pitcher's duel. We have breezed through this game so far. Here's the pitch. And that is, no, it hit Eater on the shoulder apparently. Just gently grazed him right there, but just enough for the home plate umpire to see it. So for the second time tonight, Eater is hit by a pitch. And that'll keep things going for the Scouts in this inning. And now Graham Welch, the center fielder, will come to the plate. Flew out to center field and grounded out to third his last time up. So Graham is 0 for 2, but he's got a big opportunity here to provide some 2-out magic for the boys from Xenia. Fisher, meanwhile, peering in for his sign. The kick and the pitch. Graham swings, and that will be caught by the shortstop. Tommy Bell leaped in the air, snagged it with his glove, and the Scouts, as a result, have 2 runners left on base here in the inning. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Still no score between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Bottom of the 6th here at McBride Stadium. No score between the Jazz and the Scouts. So We have gotten Riley's predictions when it comes to what will happen in the ALDS, the American League Division Series. And now we go over to Luke Sievert, our resident writer for the Scouts. So, Luke, how do you see things shaping up in the divisional round in the AL playoffs?
You know, this is a pretty quick answer for me because I think Riley basically hit it on the head. You know, one of the great things about sports is how unpredictable they can be. But I think if anything's predictable in this Major League Baseball playoffs, it's going to be the Red Sox will beat the Yankees and the Astros will beat the Indians. I think that's almost nothing is guaranteed. But if there's anything close enough to be guaranteed, I'd say you have it right there.
Myers will deliver to Bell, who attempts to get on via bunt, but he missed on the bunt attempt. Well, actually fouled it off, excuse me, as Bell will have a count of no balls and one strike. You know, that tends to be the theme when it comes to the American League. A lot of top-heavy teams that seem to be better than all the rest. As the pitch is in there for a strike from Myers, 1-1 the count. So that's the American League. Riley, I go back to you. What will happen in the NLDS?
The NLDS, I had the Phillies winning that wild card game, so they would most likely face against the Cubs or the Dodgers. Obviously, depends on who finishes with the better record.
As that'll be a strikeout right there for Landon Myers. Tommy Bell goes down swinging for the first out of the frame.
So I'm going to just say the Cubs, since they have a better record right now, will be that overall number one seed, and they'll face the Phillies. And I'm going to take the Cubs. They have a lot of experience in the playoffs. Their bats are very experienced in the playoffs. They're just very productive offensively. They have a good rotation. I think they'll ultimately get the series win against the Phillies and the DS there. Which brings me to the Dodgers and the Braves.
As Myers will deliver a pitch down low for a ball to Nolan Young. Go ahead, Riley.
And I got to go with the Dodgers there. Better starting rotation. Their lineups, I think, better than the Braves. They actually just had a series with the Braves this past week, which they won in Atlanta. I think the Dodgers are just going to have the Braves number. They're the better team this year.
Ball down low, 2-0 the count. We will get Luke's thoughts on the divisional round in the National League in just a moment here. Meanwhile, Myers winds and throws the 2-0. This will be a foul ball up the third base line. Now 2-1 the count on Nolan Young. The floor is yours, Mr. Sievert.
Yeah, you know, this is in this division, in the National League, it's a bit different between me and Riley, mostly because we just had different teams. I have the wild card winner, Colorado Rockies, playing against the Dodgers, and
here's a fly ball out to right field. Wright will back up just a tad as he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Go ahead, Luke.
I'm with Riley in the belief that the Dodgers will be winning that series and advancing to the NLCS, but the other matchup is the Phillies and the Brewers, and I'm gonna have to go with the Phillies. I really think the Phillies are the real deal. You know, it's been a great year for Philadelphia sports, and I think they can just keep that magic going. I think there's something in the water in there right now after years and years of failure. So I'm gonna go with the Phillies right there.
So Myers will deliver, and that pitch is up high for a ball. Okay, so we've made our divisional round picks. Keep your championship series picks in mind, gentlemen, because that's what we're going to be talking about in the next half inning. And here's a high fly ball out to center field. Graham Welch is under it. He'll make the catch. And for yet another time in this game, Richmond goes down 1-2-3 as Landon Myers continues to pitch a real gem here tonight for the Scouts. We have 6 innings in the books. And we still got no score between both these teams. Nothing between the Jazz and the Scouts here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Top half of the 7th here at McBride Stadium. No score still between the Jazz and the Scouts. Boy, Landon Myers of Xenia and Mason Fisher, the left-hander for Richmond, they have been trading zeros on the scoreboard so far tonight. Xenia only with 2 hits. Richmond, meanwhile, only with 3 hits. Fisher will rock and deal, and the first pitch he'll deliver to Burlesman is in there for a strike. All right, so we've been going through how the Major League Baseball playoffs will shake out, according to Mr. Riley Harshman and Mr. Luke Sievert. As the 0-1 pitch is swung on a miss, Burlesman finds himself in an 0-2 hole. So both you guys have the Red Sox and the Astros in the American League Championship Series, as Fisher deals the 0-2, and Burlesman will swing and send a ground ball over to third. DeAndre Davis with a throw over to first. That'll be in time for the first out. Meanwhile, Riley, you have the Dodgers and the Cubs in the NLCS. Luke, you have the Dodgers and the Phillies in the NLCS. Let's start in the American League. That, by the way, would be a tremendous matchup between Boston and Houston. You have the defending World Series champion Astros against a Red Sox team that has been on fire seemingly all season long. Riley, how do you see a series like that playing out?
It's going to be a very good series, I think, but I'm gonna have to give it to the Astros just because the rotation is better than the Red Sox.
As Fisher delivers, and that pitch is in there for a called strike. I heard you, Luke. I think you might be disagreeing with Riley, but Riley, go ahead.
Yeah, that rotation is just 5 deep. They're very strong. And the Red Sox, I mean, they have Sale, they have good pitching, but I think that's going to come down to pitching duel, even though their offenses are both very high powered as well.
Tuttle with a swing and a miss. He's in an 0-2 hole. Luke, judging by the background noise, I think you have the Red Sox winning that series. Tell me why.
Yeah, I have the Red Sox. I mean, Riley made a good point. The Astros rotation is unbelievable, but I mean, you have two guys on the Boston Red Sox and J.D. Martinez and Mookie Betts that could very easily win the American League MVP. I mean, that offense is just incredible. You have Chris Sale, pretty solid rotation as well. I think it'll be close. I think we would be lucky enough to see 7 games if it got to that point. But I think in the end we're going to see the Red Sox in the World Series.
Tuttle still up there at the plate for the Scouts. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top half of the 7th of a scoreless game between the Jazz and the Scouts. So Fisher still out there on the mound, peering in for his sign. As Tuttle is back in the batter's box. Here comes the 1-2. That is swung on and fouled back towards the screen. All right, now on to the NLCS. Let's start with you, Riley. You have the Dodgers and the Cubs. Do the Cubbies make it back to the World Series for the first time since 2016, or do your Dodgers win the National League pennant for the 2nd straight year?
And, if this actually shakes out, it'll be the 3rd straight year that the NLCS consisted of the Dodgers and the Cubs.
As that pitch is inside for a ball. 2-2 the count on Tuttle.
But this year, I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I think that their rotation is a little bit better than the Cubs. Adding Manny Machado definitely makes things interesting in their batting order. And I just got to go with the Dodgers. I think it's going to be It's going to be a very good series. It's going to be better than it was last year, where it only went 5 games. But ultimately, I think the Dodgers are going to pull it out.
2-2 pitches down low in the dirt, 3-2. Luke, I know you're chomping at the bit here. You have the Dodgers and you have the Phillies. Does the magical year for Philly sports continue, or do you too see the Dodgers making it to the World Series? I'll get your answer in just a moment. Here as the 3-2 pitch will be lined into center field for a base hit. That's a single for Nick Tuttle, and that gives the Scouts a 1-out base runner. Mr. Seaver, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think it's the same thing with the 76ers. I mean, just getting as far as they did in the playoffs and the NBA this season, it's still a magical year for Philadelphia sports, but I think the Dodgers are just too good. I mean, like Riley said, that team is it's a fantastic team. I definitely see them advancing to the World Series. But, I mean, the Cubs, I had them losing in the wild card. I don't know.
As Lindsey swings and hits a fly ball out to right field, the catch will be made. 2 gone in the inning.
Like I've said before, I mean, it's just so unpredictable. I think the American League is a lot more predictable than the National League. It's just there are a lot of teams who are contending, but none that are really super high-powered. I think the Dodgers are a high-powered team, and I think they're going to make the World Series.
So how about that? Both you guys have the Dodgers and the Red Sox in the World Series in 2018. Did I say something wrong? As the pitch is thrown in the dirt, and now a pickoff move that goes by the wayside as Tuttle's able to advance to third all the way up on the play.
Yeah, Tuttle.
I made a mistake. What do you? What was said? What was said?
I picked the Astros.
Astros. Okay, never mind. My bad.
Tuttle right there, showing off the wheels. Got caught looking over there with that left-handed pickoff move, but he made it over to second on the bad throw, then immediately got up and ran over to third. Now he's in a prime scoring position for Boylston.
The pitch as Boylston swings and misses. So, Riley, you actually have a repeat of the 2017 World Series for the second straight year.
I do. That doesn't happen too often.
No, it doesn't.
The way I'm looking at it right now, again, Luke's been saying it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. There's a lot that can happen in the last 2 months of the season as well that could really derail both of those teams and any of these teams that are involved.
Oh, one pitch is fouled off. Okay, so now that I have it straight, and by the way, man, you shot me the nastiest look when I said that too. Dodgers and the Astros for Riley, and for Luke, Dodgers and the Red Sox. I think both of those series would be very, very entertaining if they came to fruition. 0-2 pitch on the way. Up high for a ball. So coming up in the next half inning, we will end the MLB discussion, and we will have World Series picks from both Riley Harshman and Luke Seaver, who will take home the crown here in 2018. The 1-2 pitch. That is a hit batter right there as Luke Boylston will head on down to first. So Nick Tuttle was able to advance all the way to third on a bad pickoff move as he was trying to steal second. Advances all the way over to third, and boy, Riley, this might be the best opportunity for the Scouts to finally push across a run.
Yeah, there's 2 outs, but got that guy on third. Bills is up here at the plate. Bills has been struggling at the bat this year, but this would be a great time for him to get a base hit, put the Scouts ahead, and give Landon Myers a lead.
The pitch, down low for a ball. 1-0 the count on Ben Bills, who was grounded out to first and has struck out looking.
I would like to see Ben Bills be patient at this at-bat. Fisher's really going to have to labor here. He's got 2 outs, but you got to make him work for it. He already threw 1 ball. Make him throw you a strike and try to find a good pitch to hit.
Here's the 1-0. This is popped up high in the air. Davis making the catch as he dropped it. Or did he? No, he made the catch, and then he flung the ball to the mound. Boy, that was very interesting right there. I thought for a moment that Davis had dropped that, but he made the catch and then instantly flung it to the ground. So the Scouts end up leaving 2 men on base. And again, the Scouts are not able to push across a run when they have an opportunity to do so. It's stretch time here at McBride Stadium. No score between the Scouts and the Jazz here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. Bottom half of the 7th, after doing a little stretching here at McBride Stadium. It is still a scoreless game between the Scouts and the Jazz. And, Riley, I want to go back to that final play of the last half inning. Ben Bills with an ultimate pop-up to third, but DeAndre Davis, boy, he was risking it the way he was handling the ball to end that inning.
Yeah, he made the catch, but he never transitioned the ball from his glove hand to his free hand.
As the pitch is down low for a ball to Bill Kroll.
And so he just made the catch with his glove and just dropped the ball out of his glove to the pitcher's mound, which is, that's fine. I get what he was doing there, but it's a risky move when you do that because some umpires see that and they just say you dropped that.
Cruel with a foul ball, and that almost hit the relief pitcher warming up down there for the Scouts. He had to do a little bit of a jig to get out of the way of that one. 1 ball, 1 strike on Cruel. Well, coming up, World Series predictions. We have made it all the way to the Fall Classic, according to Riley Harshman and Luke Seaver, as the pitch is outside for the ball. Okay, so just so I have this correct, Riley, you had the Dodgers taking on the Astros, a repeat of 2017. Luke, you had the Dodgers and the Red Sox in the Fall Classic in 2018. As Myers delivers, and here's a high fly ball out to right field. Right is under it. He'll make the catch. 1 gone. All right, Riley, the floor is yours. Will it be your Dodgers winning the World Series, or will the Astros go back-to-back?
This is a very tough decision because I do think the Astros are the better team than the Dodgers, but when you lose to a team one time in the World Series like they did last year, that you think about that for that entire year, and if the Dodgers are able to make it into that game and face the Astros, I don't think they're going to lose again.
As that pitch is down low for a ball. Okay, so you got your Dodgers winning the World Series this year. All right, Luke, how about your matchup? Dodgers versus the Red Sox. West Coast team versus East Coast team. Go.
Los Angeles got LeBron James. Los Angeles is getting a World Series ring.
As that pitch is a high fly ball, and that is going to be a solo homer into the trees. Jackson Blevins is able to punch across the first run of the game with a solo shot that just kept flying and flying and flying until it headed into the forest just beyond the right center field wall. A 1-0 lead for Richmond.
And that wasn't even really much of a mistake pitch for Myers. That curveball didn't quite curve as much as he'd liked it to, but it wasn't a meat pitch by any means. It just hung up in the middle part of the zone a little bit, and Blevins just put a great swing on it. It was a little inside as well, and that's how he was able to drive it out to right field.
So finally, our first run of the game, unfortunately, it comes off the bat of a member of the Richmond Jazz. A solo homer by Jackson Blevins has given the Jazz a 1-0 lead here in the bottom half of the 7th. First mistake, I guess you could say, by Myers, but as Riley just touched upon it wasn't a bad pitch. And that'll be a line out over to second as Maynard becomes a line out victim. 2 gone. And boy, that's really a shame too because, while we were yammering away about what would happen in Major League Baseball with the playoffs and such, Landon Myers has been pitching his tail off tonight, Riley.
He's been doing great. He's been hitting all of his spots. His pitches have been working very well with each other, and he's kept his pitch count low. We mentioned how Zach Bacon is possibly the first guy in relief for the Scouts, so it was very pivotal for Myers to go as long as he could, and he's kept his pitch count down, and he's done that very well today.
Myers delivers a strike to Jared Wolf. So both you guys having the Dodgers win the World Series, if that were to happen, that would be the first time since that magical year of 1988. Oral Hershiser, Kirk Gibson, and the gang bringing a World Series title to the Dodgers that year. It's been 30 years since that happened. How about that? No balls, 2 strikes. The pitch by Myers. Here's a fly ball to right field. Right giving chase, and it'll be off the base of the wall. This will be extra bases for Wolf, as he will slide in safely to second. A 2-out double for Jared Wolf.
I'd like to just make one more little point there. I think if the Dodgers do make it to the World Series, and I do think they'll win, I think they have a serious shot to win. I think you have to get the great Vin Scully in the booth to call that. Nothing would be greater than that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, Luke, it's now about a decade ago, when Philadelphia, the Phillies, won a World Series in 2008 over the Tampa Bay Rays. They got the legendary broadcaster Harry Callis back in the radio booth to call the final out, or I think the final inning of that game, as a matter of fact. Because when the Phillies, when they won their World Series back in, I believe, 1980, at that time, you only had the game on TV. You had your national radio announcers. Therefore, Callis, the local guy, he couldn't call it that year. I thought that was a really good touch by the Phillies. I thought that was really cool for Philly fans to experience during that magical year of 2008. And, hey, Vin Scully, to this point, is still in good health, but he's up there in age. You don't know how much longer he'll be on this blessed earth. Why not give him one more chance to call some glory for his Dodgers? I think that'd be a great idea. Ground ball to short. Tuttle with the throw over to first, and that will be the final out of the inning. We head to the top half of the eighth. Richmond 1, Xenia nothing here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We head now to the top half of the eighth here at McBride Stadium. 1-0 lead for the Jazz. The deciding factor so far in this game, a solo homer by Jackson Blevins that he was able to blast over the right center field wall. And it cleared the wall by plenty. The dimensions around this ballpark are such that it's 311 down the right field line, 355 down the left field line, 375 in the power alleys, and 402 to dead center in this old ballpark that was built back in 1936. And Riley, if you remember that solo homer, I mean, it cleared the wall by plenty and went right into the trees.
Oh, yeah. Blevins got every little piece of that ball. As soon as I saw that hit, that trajectory, the way it was going, had to think it was gone, and it was. Blevins got every bit of that. It was just very unfortunate for Myers, just his one little mistake, and it wasn't even that bad of a pitch.
So now Carson Wright will come to the plate as the Scouts will attempt to get on the board from a run standpoint for the first time tonight. Wright takes a strike. It's now 1-1 the count on Carson Wright. He is 0 for 3 on the night with 3 groundouts. By the way, I want to thank Luke Sievert, the residential writer for the Scouts, join us for that long discussion about Major League Baseball in terms of who will win the divisions, the wild cards, the World Series picks. Luke and Riley going with the L.A. Dodgers to win their first World Series title since 1988. As the 1-2 pitch is a fly ball out to center field. Wolf under it, making the catch for the first out of the inning. And you know what? It's interesting. I always root for teams that have gone through long World Series droughts. Currently, the longest World Series drought held by the Cleveland Indians, who last won the World Series back in 1948. Many people, I think, often forget that it has been a long, long time since the Dodgers have won a World Series, as that pitch is down low for a ball. They had all those glory years in Brooklyn with Jackie Robinson, Duke Snider, Gil Hodges, et cetera, where they seemingly went to the World Series year after year only to be befallen by the New York Yankees and those mighty teams that they had in the Bronx, as that pitch is bobbled at third. And now the throw over to first, and the runner is safe. It was DeAndre Davis who was trying to field the ground ball that time, bobbled it a bit, then his throw brought his first baseman, Jackson Blevins, off the first base bag. So Chambers is able to reach safely on that play, put an E5 next to that one.
And now that Chambers is on first, he's got great speed. Coach Jason Lester has to put him on the move, try to get him in a scoring position with Eder, Welch, and Burlesman, these next batters up.
The pitch, and Eder swings, and this is a high pop-up, foul territory. Blevins giving chase, and he runs out of room. So Eder will stay alive here. He has struck out looking, and he's also been hit by a pitch twice. Yep, it's been 69 years since the Cleveland Indians last won a World Series. The Dodgers, they've gone 29 years. since last winning the series back in 1988. And the pitch, nope, it's actually a throwback to first. Runner back in plenty of time, that being Chandler Chambers. If you don't count teams that have never won a World Series, the top 5 longest World Series droughts, at least happening currently right now, is Chambers will steal a bag right there and get into scoring position. There wasn't even a throw from the catcher, Bill Kroll. It's the Indians, who last won in 1948, the Pirates, who last won in 79, the Orioles, who last won in 83, the Tigers, who won it in 84, and the Mets, who won it in 86. The Dodgers, they have the 6th longest World Series drought of any team that has won at least one World Series. So that pitch is outside for a ball. Of course, you have the Rangers, Brewers, Padres, Nationals, and Mariners. Those are 5 teams that have never won a World Series. The Rangers went there in 2011, lost to the Giants, as that pitch is inside, and the Eater might have gotten hit by another pitch. That's the 3rd time the Eater has been hit by a pitch tonight. That's pretty interesting. As I was mentioning, the Rangers lost to the Giants in 2011 in the World Series. Brewers fell to the Cardinals in 82. And the Padres, the only time they went to the World Series was in 1998, but they got swept by that great Yankees team of that year. Meanwhile, the Nationals, who used to be the Expos, they've never gone to a World Series, and the Mariners have never gone to a World Series as well. The pitch. And that is a foul ball down the right field line. Oh, boy, that was just inches away from rolling into the corner. That would have been extra bases easily for Graham Welch. But the good news is that the Scouts are now threatening here. Runners at first and second. One down here in the top half of the 8th. It is the Jazz leading the Scouts 1-0 thanks to a solo homer by Jackson Blevins back in the bottom of the 7th. The pitch. And that is outside for a ball. 1-1 the count. But just to wrap up that little note about World Series championship droughts, you know, Riley, to me, when I'm watching a sporting event, I tend to root for the team that either A, hasn't won the World Series a championship in a while, or B, has never won a championship, and that was the case with the Astros last year.
And they got the job done. They had a great roster, probably the best roster that the Astros franchise has ever had.
1-1 pitch is down low for a ball. I'm currently listening to an audiobook about Astro Ball. It's a book that was written by Ben Ryder, the same Sports Illustrated writer that a couple years ago actually predicted that the Astros would win the 2017 World Series. And this was back when the Astros were terrible. Here's a ground ball to second. 4, 6, 3, double play. And just like that, the inning is over for the Scouts as Welch grounds into a 4-6-3 double play. We head to the bottom half of the 8th. It's Richmond 1, Xenia nothing here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network. We head now to the bottom half of the 8th. As a gorgeous horizon is overhead, lights shining brightly here at McBride Stadium, and a 1-0 lead for the hometown Jazz here in Richmond, Indiana. Solo homer by Jackson Blevins in the 7th has been the deciding factor so far in this game. And Landon Myers is still out there on the mound. Boy, I mean, Riley, other than that solo homer by Jackson Blevins, Myers has been on target tonight.
Yeah, he's been hitting the strike zone very well. He's been pitching to contact greatly. His defense has been behind him every step of the way, and he's only thrown 82 pitches here through 7.
And the pitch is outside for a ball. 1-0 the count. Bertram, the second baseman, has grounded out to short, and he has singled. Here's the 1-0. And this will be a high fly ball down the right field line, out of play, as Boylston gave chase for Xenia. 1 ball, 1 strike on Riley Bertram. 9 1-2 hitters scheduled to hit here for Richmond as they look to add some insurance to their 1-0 lead. Looks as though that Zach Bacon is all warmed up and ready to go for the Scouts, but the way that Landon Myers has pitched tonight for Xenia, I don't think they're going to need Bacon tonight. Myers with the kick and the pitch. And this will be a ground ball over to first. Boylston up with it, and he will take it to the bag himself, and quickly 2 are gone. Or 1 is gone, actually, excuse me. Getting a little too far ahead of myself, apparently, there. As now Tommy Bell will now come to the plate. Bell 0 for 3 on the night with a strikeout.
I've mentioned that Myers has been having a great pitch count today, and I'm looking at the scorebook. He's only pitched himself into a full count twice, and both times he got those guys out, so he's just been doing a great job of getting out of counts early.
Here's a fly ball to center. Welch is under it, and he'll make the catch. Now 2 are gone. And now Nolan Young will come to the plate. Young has flied out twice, and he also reached on a throwing error by Nick Tuttle back in the 3rd inning. Let's see here. I want to take a look at Landon Myers' line here. 7 2/3, a run on 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, and a walk. Yeah, I think that would qualify as a pretty good start on the mound. Problem with that is that his team is down 1-0 because he made a mistake to Jackson Blevins back in the 7th inning that resulted in a solo homer over the right center field wall. As now Myers will go to work on Young, and that pitch is inside for a ball. 1-0 the count. Myers with the pitch, and this will be a fly ball to center field. It will drop. That was actually more of a line drive. Young with his first hit of the game. 2-out base runner for the Jazz, and that will allow Steve Bennett to come to the plate. Bennett 0 for 3 with a ground out to third, a strikeout swinging, and a fly out to center. Both these teams will hook up with one another once again tomorrow in the regular season finale for both these teams here in 2018. First pitch is scheduled for 4:05 at Grace Field, and we hope that you will join us, whether it be listening to our broadcast or actually coming out and seeing the game. Again, if you don't have anything better to do on Sunday afternoon, please join us at Grace Field. It'll be a fun, festive atmosphere as the Scouts will look to send their fans out on a high note with a win to conclude the 2018 campaign. As the pitch is fouled away by Bennett, it's now a 1-1 count on the Jazz designated hitter. Myers sets the 1-1. A liner caught by Tuttle, and that will be the final out of the frame. Well, it'll be the last chance for the Scouts. We head to the top half of the ninth. Xenia trailing Richmond 1-0 here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network.
Fisher coming back out.
See this one. 8 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, and a walk.
Yeah, very good. 1 walk, but at least 3 hit batters.
Yeah.
Making 4, he hit Luke as well.
Well, we got 3 pretty good batters coming up in Burlesman, Tuttle, and Lindsay. So
They got to try to produce. If Burlesman gets on, he's got to steal a base or 2.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I wouldn't even hesitate. If he gets on first, give him the green light.
Okay. All right, let's see here. I'll come back a little early to talk about some scores. Heading to the top half of the ninth here at McBride Stadium. Richmond leading the Scouts 1-0. Speaking of scores, let's get you updated with some more around the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League, a game that has just gone final. Southern Ohio takes game one of a doubleheader with Licking County by a final of 4-3. So for right now, they assume the top spot in the Southern Division of the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. Top half of the third in game two of that doubleheader between the Copperheads and the Settlers. Southern Ohio already out to a 1-0 lead over Licking County. Meanwhile, they're in the top half of the sixth in Cincinnati. The Steam leading the Hamilton Joes in that one 6-3. Cincinnati and Southern Ohio entered play tonight, tied atop the standings in the Southern Division. So even if Cincinnati wins that game, if Southern Ohio ends up sweeping that doubleheader against last place Licking County, it would be Southern Ohio who would become the sole possessor of first place in the Southern Division. Bertelsmann, meanwhile, comes up for Xenia. The Scouts trailing the Jazz 1-0 here in the top half of the ninth. It's been a tremendous night for pitching. Landon Myers pitched his butt off for the Scouts. 1 run on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, and no walks. But Fisher, the left-hander for the Jazz, he's been even better. In 8 innings pitched, he has allowed no runs on 3 hits. He has struck out 4 and walked 1. Mason Fisher with the pitch, and that's down low for a ball. 2-1 the count. Bertelsmann, Tuttle, and Lindsay, the scheduled batters for the Scouts. If any of those guys get on, we will also see Luke Boylston. The pitch. That's up high for a ball. 2-1 the count. Other scores around the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League, by the way. Lima still in the running for first place in the Northern Division. They lead Grand Lake right now 6-2 in the bottom half of the 7th. Bertelsmann with a swing. A fly ball out to left field, and this will be extra bases for Ryan Bertelsmann as it rattles up against the wall. Bertelsmann will stride into second. A leadoff double for the Scouts to begin the top half of the 9th.
And that's exactly what you do with a 3-1 count, especially when you get a pitch like Fisher just gave Bertelsmann there. He left it up in the zone. Bertelsmann put a great swing on it, sent it out to the fence. That's exactly what you do with a 3-1 count. Great job by Bertelsmann.
Just to finish up the GLSCL scoreboard, by the way, Lake Erie leading Galleon 3-1. I'm sure that's making Hamilton fans very happy, as Hamilton had a slight lead over the Graders for that third and final playoff spot out of the Southern Division. And then the only other game taking place, Muskegon leading Irish Hills 4-2 in the bottom half of the 6th. I still find it rather curious that the Green Giants, St. Clair, they apparently are not playing a game tonight, at least according to the scoreboard. They have a game off apparently this late in the season. So now Nick Tuttle will come to the plate. Bertelsmann will take his lead off of second. The pitch to Tuttle. Nick will pull back the bunt attempt. It's ball 1 on the Scouts shortstop. No runs, 4 hits, an error in the field for Xenia. 1 run, 6 hits, 1 error for Richmond. Bertelsmann represents the tying run. He'll take his lead off of second. Fisher, meanwhile, he will set and he'll deliver. Tuttle will take a pitch inside. 2-0 the count on Nick Tuttle, who had a single his last time at bat. That coming back in the 7th inning.
You know, if you're the Scouts, Ryan Bertelsmann was definitely the guy you wanted leading off this inning because he has the most runs scored for the Scouts this year at 23. Then Tuttle is exactly who you want behind him because he's leading the Scouts in RBIs this year with 17.
Ryan Bertram will now come out to talk with his left-hander Fisher. I don't know if he noticed something funny from an injury standpoint or what. And how about this? Fisher is going to be taken out of the game as a signal was made down to the bullpen with a 2-0 count already on Nick Tuttle. So Fisher will be taken out of the game, and while the new pitcher warms up, we'll take a break. The plot thickens here in the top half of the 9th with the Scouts trailing the Jazz 1-0 here in Richmond, Indiana. Well, things are starting to get very interesting here in the top half of the ninth at McBride Stadium. It's a 1-0 lead for Richmond, but the Scouts have a runner at second with nobody out. And now a pitching change has been made by the Jazz. Stephen Bennett, the native of Auburn, New York, a 6-foot, 190-pound right-hander who pitches for Canisius College. He's a sophomore there, making his 7th appearance of the season for the Jazz from a pitching standpoint. No wins, 1 loss, an earned run average of 3.85, and 11 2/3 innings pitched. He has struck out 7 and walked 2. He takes over for Mason Fisher, who had twirled 8 innings of shutout baseball, had only allowed 4 hits on the night, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. And he replaces Fisher with Nick Tuttle, the batter, already with a 2-ball, no-strike count. So here we go. Bennett with the pitch. And that is on the outside corner for a called strike. I don't know if Bertram, the manager for the Jazz, might have saw an injury with Fisher if he had reached a pitch count. But I find it very odd that you would want to pull your starter the way that he's been pitching in the middle of an at-bat. 2-1 pitch. This is a ball that will drop, and it will be foul. A bunt attempt by Tuttle, and it just rolled. I don't know if the grass, the way that it was manicured down the third baseline, had a way of making that roll foul. But in any case, Tuttle will have to come back to the batter's box, facing a 2-ball, 2-strike count now against Bennett.
Yeah, I think that ball spun foul because of the spin on it. Bennett threw in that pitch there, whether it was a fastball or not, but when you pop it up with a bunt like that, there's bound to be some type of backspin or forward spin on it, and that's probably what made that ball go foul after it landed.
So Tuttle now making his way back into the right-handed batter's box. By the way, Zach Bacon is warming in the Scouts bullpen, as is Owen Pyatt, who has been on quite the tear as of late. Here's the 2-2. Tuttle swings, hits a fly ball, and it will be caught by Wolf, and Bertelsmann will have no choice but to stay put at second. 1 gone. So now the batter will be Jarrett Lindsey. Lindsey with a couple flyouts and also a walk. He is 0 for 2 on the night. So Bennett, who had started this game, by the way, as the designated hitter, he's trying to close things out here for Richmond. Lindsey in the right-handed batter's box. The pitch. Down low. Nice block. Made that time by the catcher, Bill Kroll, to keep that from going to the backstop. We mentioned this ad nauseum when we first came here to Richmond. This ballpark, it's a great big distance between home plate and the backstop. So if you are the catcher, you cannot afford to let a ball get by you in this ball yard. As that pitch is taken for a ball on the inside. 2-0 the count now on Jarrett Lindsey. Bertelsmann, I would venture to say, is probably the fastest runner on this Scouts team. He'll take his lead off of second. Anything hitting to the outfield, he has a chance at scoring. The pitch. Lindsey swings and hits a fly ball to deep right field. That is going to chase the fielder back towards the edge. The catch will be made. Bertelsmann will tag and will reach third safely. 2 gone. Catch was made by Maynard, and a strong throw back into the infield as well. Made that play a lot more closer than I had anticipated. So now 2 gone in the inning. And now it'll be up to Luke Boylston to try to tie this game up. Boylston has doubled. He has grounded into a double play, and he's been hit by a pitch tonight. Bertelsmann 90 feet away. Jazz leading the Scouts 1-0. Boy, this would be a heartbreaker for the Scouts tonight, as they got a great start from their right-hander, Landon Myers. If they are not able to find a way to push across Bertelsmann. The pitch. Boylston will take a strike. 0-1 the count on the Scouts' first baseman. If this lead holds up, Mason Fisher is your winner. Landon Myers is your hard luck loser. And give a save to Stephen Bennett as well. And that pitch hit Boylston. So now he'll trot on down to first. That's the second time tonight that Boylston's been hit by a pitch. So the potential tying run is at third. The potential go-ahead run is at first. And now the batter is Ben Bills. Bills 0 for 3 with a ground out to first, a strikeout looking, and a pop out to third base. The pitch. Down low for a ball. Bills looking to play the role of hero tonight for Xenia.
I would like to see him be selective with his pitches. Bennett hasn't shown great control quite yet in this appearance.
1-0 pitch down low. Well, I can tell you this right now. Bills has a favorable hitters count right now, 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes.
Definitely.
Boylston will take his lead off of first. Burlesman will take his lead off of third.
For Bills here on a 2-0 count, this pitch's got to be perfect. It's got to be a pitch that you can rip somewhere into the outfield and drive in Bertelsmann.
2-0 on the way. That is on the inside corner for a called strike. 2-1 the count to Bills. Bennett back on the pitching rubber. Bills back in the batter's box. Those two going at it mano-a-mano. 2-1. Bill swings. It's a grounder into right field for a base hit. This game is tied. It's an RBI single by Ben Bills. We got ourselves a 1-1 game.
Great piece of hitting by Bills there. Still had that hitter's count. It only takes one. Got a pitch on the outside part of the plate that he could hit. Hit it hard in between the second and first baseman, and now we got a tie ball game.
Bertelsmann comes in. Bills with the RBI. A 1-1 game, and the Scouts might not be done here as Carson Wright will now come to the plate once again. The pitch by Bennett. That is in there for a strike. So now that Bertelsmann has come in to score the tying run, the go-ahead run, Luke Boylston sits out there at second. For all intents and purposes, Ben Bills over there at first is inconsequential. The pitch is down low for a ball to right. He is 0 for 4 on the evening. A couple ground outs to first, a ground out to the pitcher, and a fly out to center. But Carson can wipe away that offensive frustration with a big hit right here. The 1-1. That is a ball. 2-1 the count. Now Boylston, not exactly fleet of foot out there on the base pass. Bills, he's a good runner, but certainly not in the same class as a Bertelsmann or, say, a Cam Murray. 2-1. Right, with a grounder out to second. Bob it a little bit, but the throw to first will be in time. And now we will head to the bottom half of the ninth with this game tied at 1 apiece. Bills tying it up with an RBI single to right. 1-1 here in Richmond, Indiana. New pitcher on the mound for the Scouts as we begin action in the bottom of the ninth. A 1-1 game between the Scouts and the Jazz. And the new pitcher on the mound is none other than Zach Bacon. Bacon, normally a position player, normally a guy that plays second base for the Scouts. Well, he's making his 7th appearance of the season as a pitcher. An earned run average of 5.62, 1-0. And in 8 innings pitched, he has struck out 6 and walked 5. That means that the night is done for Landon Myers, and boy, what a night it was for the native of Mason, Ohio. Myers, 1 run on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts and no walks, and 8 sterling innings of work. By far his best start of 2018. As that pitch is swung on and missed by Bill Kroll. So how'd we get here? The Jazz had a 1-0 lead heading into the top half of the ninth, but a 2-out RBI single by Ben Bills, driving in Ryan Burlesman from third, has gotten us to this point. Here's a high fly ball out to center field. Welch under it, making the catch. One gone here in the bottom of the ninth.
That's what Bacon's going to have to continue to do. He doesn't have a high velocity fastball or a big breaking curveball. He's, like you said, a position player. He's just got to keep throwing balls in the zone and hope his defense can make the plays.
So now the man who gave that 1-0 lead to the Jazz is coming to the plate, that being the first baseman, Jackson Blevins. He'll take a pitch down low from Bacon, 1-0 the count on the Jazz first baseman, who hit a solo homer back in the seventh inning. That is the only run to this point for the Jazz. Now he hits a fair ball down the first base line. It will rattle into the corner. Blevins will trot on into second base. The second extra base hit of the night for Blevins, and just like that, the Jazz have the potential winning run in scoring position with only one gone in the bottom of the ninth.
Boylston, he's another one of the gamers on the Scouts team. He's always full go. He's come up clutch for the Scouts a lot. Made his best effort right there on the foul line there. Dove for it full extension, just wasn't able to come up with it.
So now Damon Maynard will come to the plate. He's 1 for 3 with a single coming all the way back in the second inning. Bacon with a pitch. Maynard with a swing and a fly ball down the right field line, and that will be just foul. As Wright was giving chase for Xenia. Scouts, 1 run on 5 hits, 1 error in the field. Meanwhile, Richmond, 1 run on 7 hits. They also have 1 error in the field. As Damon Maynard will make his way back to the right-handed batter's box. Just a couple minutes past 9 o'clock here in Richmond, Indiana. The pitch by Bacon. Here's a grounder. Over to second. Throw to first will be in time. 2 are gone as Blevins moves up to third. Represents the potential winning run. He's now 90 feet away from giving his team a win here in Richmond. 2 gone in the inning, and Jared Wolf will now come to the plate.
Bacon's doing a good job of throwing strikes, but he has to be extra careful here to keep the ball over the plate. He doesn't want to put one in the dirt.
Wolf with a swing, and that'll be a base hit into right field. It is a walk-off win for the Richmond Jazz. Jared Wolf will send the fans home happy in Richmond as the Jazz come pouring out of their dugout. Wolf will get a Gatorade bath in the process as well as the Jazz are able to get a walk-off 2-1 win over the Scouts here tonight at McBride Stadium. Riley and I will be back to wrap things up here in Richmond, Indiana in just a moment. Back here at McBride Stadium where the Jazz walk off with a 2-1 win over the Xenia Scouts. Alongside Riley Harshman, I'm Charlie Dennis. Well, Riley, we had a lot of discussion about Major League Baseball playoffs tonight during the broadcast, just to fill a little bit of time as a way of wrapping up the season. But when I look back at this game, it was a tremendous pitcher's duel. Landon Myers throwing up zeros for Xenia, Mason Fisher doing the same for Richmond tonight.
I mean, what else can I say? Myers had easily his best start of the year, one of the best starts we've seen from a Scout pitcher this year. And then we said that about Sam a couple nights ago, but Landon, his pitches were working well. I've said it about Landon a couple times this year, how his fastball and his curveball had the same arm slot, and that's what was really working for him tonight. Really mixed up the Jazz hitters. His curveball was falling off the table. He was pitching to contact. He was getting plenty of flyouts and groundouts. And when you do that, do what he does. He had a low pitch count, got a lot of outs, only allowed 1 run. Phenomenal pitching performance from Myers tonight.
Mason Fisher will not take the win tonight for the Jazz, but should be mentioned that Fisher pitched a whale of a game for the Jazz as well. 1 run on 4 hits, 4 strikeouts, and a walk in 8 innings of work. Landon Myers, meanwhile, he only gave up 1 run on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, and a walk. His only blemish on the night turning out to be a solo homer by Jackson Blevins. So how did this game end up being the way it was? Well, the Jazz had a 1-0 lead entering the top half of the ninth, but with 2 outs in the top half of the ninth, Ben Bills was able to drive in Ryan Bertelsmann with a 2-out RBI single to right field. That tied the game at 1. We headed then to the bottom half of the ninth following a fly out to center by Bill Kroll, the catcher. It was Jackson Blevins who came through with another extra base hit, this time a double down the right field line, following a ground out by Damon Maynard to second. That set up Jared Wolf to be the hero, and indeed he was the hero tonight as he was able to slap a single into right field, thereby driving in Blevins and giving the Jazz a 2-1 win. And Stephen Bennett, the guy who started as a designated hitter tonight for the Jazz, he ends up being your winning pitcher tonight. The native of Auburn, New York, improves his final tallies for both teams. Richmond, 2 runs, 7 hits, 6 men left on base, 1 error in the field. Meanwhile, Xenia, 1 run on 4 hits, 9 men left on base, and 1 error in the field. Please be sure to join us tomorrow afternoon, whether it be coming out to the ballpark or listening to our broadcast. We'd love to have you. First pitch at Grady's Field is scheduled for 4:05 p.m. It'll be the 2018 regular season finale as the Jazz are going to head up to Xenia to take on the Scouts. It'll be Fan Appreciation Day. Folks, if you have nothing else better to do on Sunday, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow afternoon, please be sure to join us here. Join us at Grady's Field. We'll entertain you. Hopefully a good ball game will be there. I know the weather is supposed to be very nice. Join us for Fan Appreciation Day at Grady's Field tomorrow afternoon. Again, first pitch between the Jazz and the Scouts is scheduled for 4:05 p.m. If you can't make it in person, be sure to listen to our broadcast of Xenia Scouts Baseball here on the Xenia Scouts Radio Network, located on YouTube.com. For my broadcast partner, Riley Harshman, this is Charlie Daniels saying one final time. The final score tonight from McBride Stadium, it is Richmond who wins in a walk-off 2-1 over Xenia. So long and good night from Richmond, Indiana.